It was only a matter of time. We had been saying this for nearly 3 hours. It just took the BCCI and the match officials to what? How many minutes did it exactly take, Shane,
I
for them
mean,
to accept the reality?
so 9:25 was the last inspection. 6:30 was supposed to be the toss.
3 hours.
So 2 hours and 55 minutes, pretty much. Yeah, that's how long it took them to accept the reality that this match was never going to happen. A reality that, by the way, we had called about 2 hours back. Why? Because for those of you who understand the basic laws of science and who understand how it is
Nature,
that
yaar. Forget
nature,
science.
Indian
Nature.
winters, all of that works, fog never gets better.
With time.
Exactly. Not the
It's
only way.
inversely proportional.
Exactly. The later it gets, the darker it gets, the worse the fog will be. So,
No, it's actually directly proportional. BCCI were hoping that it's inversely proportional. That the darker it gets, the less dense the fog gets, but it doesn't work like that.
in fact, I'll just be back. You
Okay.
talk them through.
Yeah. So yeah, just 3 hours is all that it took for the BCCI and the match officials. There were multiple inspections at this point. I can't even recall how many inspections happened. You were looking at there being an the first inspection happened. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Shane's doing that. This is a mark of respect to the match
Hardik
that
Pandya.
to the match that did not happen.
Yes, it's a mark of respect to Hardik Pandya as well. The only player smart enough to be wearing a mask in conditions that clearly deserved it.
But was Hardik Pandya trying to make some sort of send some sort of a message, or are you trying to send some sort of a message?
I definitely was trying to send a message. I don't know about Hardik. Maybe he also decided that it's not worth risking his health. Poor guy gets injured so often anyway. Why would he want to be inhaling toxins?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in his position.
Again, nothing surprising about it, and Shane and I are also going to be keeping it very short over here. Nothing much to add. We can only go on rambling about what exactly we saw. And about weather, again, we're not experts at talking about weather, so we won't delve too much into it. But clearly, the attempt of the BCCI was, and more so, the match officials who also, you can guess where they were getting the directions from. You saw plenty happen on the field. There were more than just the umpires who were coming for the inspection. The idea was that you were hoping that at some point there'll be some sort of clearing of the fog. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Forget, there is no North India, South India, Southern Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere, nothing like that. Basic. It never happens. With time, the fog gets dense. You are hoping against hope that things get better. You can hope for those things to happen during the daytime, but seldom does that happen, and it's a minor miracle for the law of nature to not follow its usual course. Today, though, the script remains the same. The conditions were not good enough for a cricket match to take place. Again, as we were telling you time and time again, what you were seeing on the on live broadcast, it was much worse than that. For those of you who are from the northern half of the country, will possibly understand what I'm talking about over here, because the camera oftentimes presents you clearer images than they are. In fact, we are paying so much for these expensive cameras for a reason, right? They cut out all that clutter that you see at times, all the fog at times, and it makes things look clearer than they are. But you could not have escaped this eventual reality. This was just a matter of time. It was always going to be the inevitable, and it's just taken you 3 hours to accept that this was a match that was never going to happen. Disappointed, I saw fans over there. Disappointment. There was clear disappointment on their faces. Rightly so as well. You were kept by you were hanging by a thread all this while. Seldom does such information get directly communicated. They also track websites. They also track apps to get their dose of information as well. And yeah, disappointment for them. Ultimately, they don't get to see a single ball. They only got to see was repeated inspections. They only got to see some practice drills, and that was about it.
That's it. And the funny part is, I feel the sorriest, by the way, you're talking about physical, this being a match or seeing something. I think the people in that ground who got the most athletic action were the umpires. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And here's the thing, I think this match in itself, and going on a bit of a tangent here, but I think the way that this all played out, it reveals really the lack of seriousness with which we take the air crisis we live in.
And utter disrespect. Again, the plea is we seldom times we forget how powerful we are. We're stakeholders, and I'm not trying to instigate any of you over here, but I'm also an aggrieved party in all of
Yeah.
this. This was an utter waste of time. This was an utter disregard of your time and mine. This is not something that we should be letting go of easily, but questions need to be asked. There has to be greater accountability. In IPL, you see that happen time and time again where things are delayed. There is far too many times where there aren't any sanctions on players because of the eminence that they have, because of the revered stature that certain teams or certain players have. You don't see any sort of sanctions because of poor run rate. It was just the same wine packaged in a different or in a new bottle. Same wine, old wine in a new bottle. That's the thing. This was that. You don't respect the viewers' time ever. Mostly it happens during the months of March, April, May. This time you got on a winter dose of that as well. And this may just be something that you may not have enjoyed.
No, not at all. I mean, if I'm a fan, by the way, who went to the Ekana Stadium in Lucknow, I'd be asking for refunds. I didn't get what I
You
paid
will
for.
get the refund.
And quite
There was
frankly,
not a
that will
single
be
ball bowled, so
that will
you will
be
get the refund.
yeah, that will be the minimum. The other I would say is then ask those questions and say, why was a match even organized at this time of the year in this part of the country? We know how landlocked the northern parts of India are. We know that pollution has been an issue. Unless you're living under a rock, you are well familiar with the fact that the pollution is an issue in this part of the country. Why would you have a match here? If you have to have a match here, why not let it be a day match when you know that the thing is less? But day matches are out of vogue, they're out of fashion, you don't want to do them. Prime time viewership and all that. So you're not going to do it. So you're not going to do it. But the fact of the matter is, look at how many people's time you wasted. You wasted the time of so many fans who were tuned into broadcast, waiting and hoping against hope that there'd be some action. You wasted the time of the people you hire to do these shows. Like, if I feel bad for us, I feel worse for those who are presenting it on the host broadcasters. They didn't even get a break.
And the indications were there. Since you
They
speak
were
of the
there,
host
of
broadcasters,
course.
those who were hosting the show, the expert as well, all of them after a point had to be moved into the studio that was made for them as part of the infrastructure, as part of the facility over there at the Ekana Stadium. And those were very clear and strong signs. We were hoping that somehow something bizarre happened, that there be less fog, that you couldn't have done much about the AQI, you couldn't have done much about the pollution levels, and there is certainly nothing that you could have done about the fog as well. All you were waiting was that time to come to your rescue, and ultimately time just did what time does.
It ran out. You were expecting something that was never going to happen. It was a fool's paradise, as I mentioned in our earlier live as well, because it never improves. Fog will only get worse if the AQI, and I'll tell you this is a fact of where it is that we are currently in, which is the Delhi NCR Noida Delhi region. If the AQI is in 600 or so once sunset has hit, it will never come lower than that. It will only keep getting worse if it changes. So the best case scenario is that it will not in fact change. So even if you waited 2 hours, 3 hours, 10 hours, fog was still going to be there. Smog, I will not even call it fog. Smog was still going to be there. So what were you waiting for? Who were you trying to kid into saying, oh, maybe a match will happen? There was never going to happen.
But just touching on the larger subject of AQI, there is one thing that you can't run away as a nation, as a cricketing board, and that is the poor reflection of one visual that we'll have now. It will make for global talk, it will make for global noise, and I hope it also propels us in a direction where we don't forget that we need to be in a position of asking questions, and that those who run the sport are accountable to us just as much as those who sit in the parliament are. We oftentimes ask them questions, oftentimes we often forget to do that as well.
Yeah.
But the image of an international player who plays for India, this wasn't somebody from outside, as you saw back in 2017, I think it was, when Sri Lanka had come down to the capital and it made for global headlines and embarrassment. This will also not paint a very good picture of Indian cricket and India as a nation, the northern part as a whole struggling. You've been grappling with poor air and it's been making global news. This will only amplify all of that. It will only cause greater embarrassment. As somebody had said just a few hours back, that they were showing images and news reports of there being bad AQI as high as 400 in Delhi NCR, and people overseas believe that that's AI generated. Not quite the case when you see an international player wear a mask to be able to protect his lungs in whatever little manner that he can. This is what we're reduced to as a nation
And
right
this is
now.
what we're dealing with. It's the sad reality that cricket now is a year-round sport, right?
Yeah.
Traditionally, by the way, in India, cricket was always a winter sport, not a summer sport, because the summers are very extreme. Now, though, you're at a point where you can actually only play in the summers. Because in the winters, look at the kind of air
That
quality you're
also, Shane,
grappling with.
there are only certain areas that you can
Exactly,
play in the summers
exactly.
because thanks
Not-
to global warming,
Yeah, imagine playing in the
and our
north.
poor handling of the whole menace, that there are certain centers
The
you can
temperatures are
just
soaring.
not
Delhi?
have. Exactly. Can you imagine having a match in Delhi in the months of June, July? Impossible. The heat is so
No chance.
scorching. It'll zap you out. Players won't be able to take that. Forget.
No, you'll need multiple
international.
water breaks.
Exactly. You can't.
And you might need an ambulance on standby also. Yeah, because that might just happen. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it is that. Maybe you'll learn nothing from this. Maybe there's every chance that come the 50-20, a lot of fans are just going to brush it off and be like, okay, it happened. Big deal. We're going to look forward to this action. But I really hope it provokes conversations even amongst fans. And you start demanding some degree of accountability, saying that, look, these are our national heroes. At the very least, let's not be meddling with them and putting them in situations where they're having to play matches or potentially play matches in these sort of toxic gas
There's a lot
chambers.
of talk about workload that happens in our sport. It's happening. It's the topics reignited even in football right
Yeah.
now. This was again something that was brought up very recently. It was in conversation. When you talk about workload, when you want to take care of your hand, what's the genesis of that conversation, or what's at the heart of it? It's player welfare,
Exactly.
and you want to get the best out of the player and not overburden the players in keeping with the labor laws. That's everything. You want the best for the team, the player, and yeah, you want to be taking into consideration labor laws as well. Again, not in India that much, but of course it makes for a conversation in other parts of the world. The idea is to protect the player. How can you have 22 men gasping for breath when they'll be running around? Of course they'll be gasping around, and how can you ask them to be choking on such bad air? Why would you want these athletes, top tier athletes, they represent the nation? Why would you want them to be inhaling more and more of the air when they go gasp for it after making a couple of runs?
Exactly.
No, you
Makes
don't
no
want
sense.
that to happen. This was always a bad idea. 400, 450 AQI for anyone. The government norms at the moment are that companies, corporates have, they reduce their staffers to 50%, work on 50%. Students, young kids have been asked to stay indoors. Classes are happening online. Why can't we just be more humane about this whole approach?
You absolutely need to be. And again, even I feel bad for even the fans. You were exposed to that toxic air, by the way, for 3+ hours. Remember when we first started looking at the AQI levels when we
420.
it was 416 to 420. Later on went up. Oh, you're exposing fans also. This is at a time when grab 3, grab 4, and having AQIs this high means no outdoor activity should be allowed. Cricket is very much an outdoor sport. It's played outside. So how is it that you were even daring to think of having a match take place in these kind of horrible situations? Even if you made the mistake of scheduling it, hindsight should have said, listen, we made this mistake, but the air quality here has not been great. Let's actually simply just put, let's just call it off.
Question
Simple.
asked as to how we are managing to work in Delhi NCR.
Mad Max, it's a very tough thing to do. Trust me. One day of me and Harshit being out in the field for the Messi Goat Tour thing, and my throat has taken a battering. I was wearing a mask, but there were times when I couldn't wear, and the times that I couldn't was what really got to me in the end. So it is what it is. You're just dealing with it. He's saying no. Nikhil is in office. He's
Yeah,
around.
and trust me,
He has
there's-
different, let's say, commitments.
Yeah. Oh, those will reflect on the
Yeah, channel
channel as
soon
well.
enough, so
Don't
you'll know
worry.
what it is we're
Yeah,
talking about.
Yeah.
So let's take some comments. We've got some funny ones coming in. So see, Mad Max himself saying that even God's not doing justice for Sanju. One match he had a chance, it got called off. And in fact, GGK says, in counterpoint, that one match is enough for Sanju will score 100 and Gill will be forgotten or keep getting injured. Yeah, that's very unfair.
You don't
Very
want
unfair.
injury.
But again,
on
Rahul,
anyone,
not
yeah.
Dravid, pointing out that Sanju is the most disappointed man in that team. Could have gotten 2 chances to put pressure on Gill. Now it's just 1. What if Gill is recovered by the next match? Then 1 it goes from to none.
Yeah.
So that also could be a thing.
Also, what this now means is that you can have a scenario where the series ends
Level.
2-2.
Yeah, correct. Because India 2-1 up right now. But if South Africa win in Ahmedabad, which is possible, let's be fair,
Yeah.
then you've got a level series. And suddenly, then South Africa will be looking at this as a very successful series.
Despite all the chopping and changing and the misdemeanors they've been up to.
Exactly. So you've won one series. It was a whitewash, the Test series. You gave a good fight in the ODI series and lost. But in the T20Is, then you've drawn. They'd be very happy with that sort of a tour, man.
Yeah, it takes me back to, I think it was the 2018 tour that Kulcha tour, where the two of them cumulatively picked 35 wickets. You had great success, white ball, red ball also. You'd won one match, but yeah, it was South Africa that managed to win it 2-1.
Yeah. Then you got Amit saying that much common sense they don't have. I agree. Common sense, by the way,
It's
should be
not common
at
after all.
At all.
Don't assume common sense is that common.
It should be called uncommon sense because it's not that common. Rafael Gautam says disappointing that the game got called off for these reasons. I agree. But it was always bound to happen.
It was the writing on the wall.
In fact, as Dev Pratap says, should have been called off, just fooling the fans. Typical BCCI. Harsh, but I mean,
Ask
I
questions,
can't really
guys.
be wrong.
Ask questions. You and I have the power. We must.
Exactly. And in fact, see, that's what he's further expected, saying that you could have at least had the common sense for a day game. You've cheated the fans who bought tickets. Agree? Agree. So, see, Sydney cricket madness is that it's very cold in southern India like never before. What it'll be like in North India? Oh, it's cold.
Now
It is biting. Trust me, it's biting. Particularly evenings and nights. It's windy as well. So, it's just, it's bad. Why is he asking that sort of a question?
You can't answer that here.
Can't answer that.
Please
yeah?
DM.
Yeah, please you can DM me. I'll be more
Please
than happy.
Slide into his DMs and that's where he'll
I'll be
answer.
more than happy.
And whatever he tells you, please share that screenshot with me.
You know already. Sachin Tendulkar says that Dubey, if used better with the bat in the middle against spinners, will be good asset. I agree. I think you need to be using Dubey better than 7-8. But I mean, anyway, we've seen a lot of comments as well that have come
I
through.
think that should be that.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Positive. Sports fan says that how come there was no fog issue in Dharamshala? I mean, yeah, that was in itself a surprise. I think they dodged a bullet with that one. Because even I was questioning that why is it that you're holding it in Dharamshala? It gets very cold there. So you may well have had a fog issue there as well. And there would have actually been fog.
Yeah, there it would have been fog. Good you didn't have a fog issue at that time. It did get foggy after the match had gotten over. I remember that interview of Varun Chakravarti. He had to wear a
Yeah,
cap
the
after.
BD and he had. Oh, to be fair, he's also from the south. It's not doesn't often get as cold over there, so I don't blame him.
But what that match also showed you what clean air looks like.
Do not remind me of those camera visuals, man.
Yeah,
Ooh.
so aesthetic.
Very
Beautiful.
nice. Yeah. Anyway, we'll take your leave now. Not much to talk about in terms of the match, but I mean the match really didn't really.
You can't even call this a damn squib because you knew from
not
the
even a
word
squib.
go. Yeah, from the word go, you knew this was something that was never going to happen.
Exactly. So we'll take your leave. Thank you guys so much for being.
There's still some stuff coming your way.
Yes,
Make sure to subscribe, tap that bell so that you get notified. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow as always. Bye bye.
Right.
Take good care. Good night. Nandri, Shubhratri, Shabba care. Eat your vegetables.
Don't trouble your mother. Subscribe to Sports.